Okay, hey friends, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to do like two parts of a video and then put them together. I'm going to talk about rejection and dealing with that, and sort of some tips that I personally use to deal with rejection, and then I'm going to talk about imposter syndrome a little bit. I've had 2 or 3 people reach out to me about imposter syndrome, and then like several other people reach out to me about how I deal with rejection. And I thought it would be great if I could just like put together a quick little video of like what I do to deal with it. I'm not like the best person to talk about these things too, because sometimes I deal with them very in like a very bad way, in like a very I'm trying to think of another word for maladaptive, but just I don't always deal with rejection and my imposter syndrome the best, but I am working on it. I'm figuring out how to catch myself when I'm in these moments and then fixing it when I catch it. So yeah, so let's get started right now. Okay, so the first part of this video is we're gonna talk about rejection. I am like the worst person to talk to you about this because I am not very good at rejection at all. Like, it really sort of like rocks my world when I get rejected from something. And it's not just rejection from like school stuff, like anything I've applied for, it really hurts. And I feel like I have gotten a bit better with dealing with it, but not that much. Sorry, my nose is itchy. It's allergy season and they're trying to take the kid out, okay? I feel like I'm not the best at dealing with rejection. Like when it happens, I get really, really upset. And I feel like the rejection has to do with me as a person, when sometimes like you getting rejected from something has nothing to do with you, if that makes sense. So one of the things my advisor in Pittsburgh said was that there are tons of other factors that contribute to you being rejected outside of you. So like, I was really upset about not getting into PhD programs at the time, and I was like, what do I do? Like, they don't want me. And then she was like, it could be that they don't have funding. It could be that the professor you want to work with is going on sabbatical. It could be like all these other things that don't have to do with you as a person. And I thought that was like really powerful. And like, sometimes I have to remind myself, like, this doesn't have to do with me. It most likely doesn't have to do with me. It could be that they found somebody who's like the perfect fit instead of like a good-ish fit. Hear my dog walking around in the background. It's ridiculous. But sometimes rejection doesn't have to do with you. And so that's one of the things I try to keep in mind. And yeah, and so, excuse me. One of the first things I do is I just take time to kind of like mourn the loss of that thing or something I really wanted. Like, I really wanted to get a fellowship this year, and I applied to 3 and I got rejected from all 3, and it really hurt because like I really wanted the funding for school, you know? And so I took some time. I took maybe about 2 or 3 days for each one and just kind of like mourn the loss of it. And then after that, I didn't like, I don't want to say I avoided talking about it, but like I didn't let myself feel a type of way after that, if that makes sense. And one of the things that my father often tells me is like, you're so focused on like applying and getting into these things that you want to get into, you miss all the other things good going on in your life. And it's like you can't see the forest for the trees. And so like if you're focused really on one tree, you can't see that like you've also done this tree and you planted that tree, and oh look, that tree over there is growing. And so I think taking time to really, like for me, that means like going through my CV and looking at all the things I've accomplished already really helps like boost my mood and be like, you know what, if I got rejected from this, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm still like a bomb person. I have great research ideas and my ideas are important, and it's their loss. Like, they're gonna lose out on this like great potential that I have. I wrote down notes, so that's where I'm at. I also try to talk to people about it. I often don't vent to my friends, but I often vent to my parents about some of these rejections. And so yeah, I would find somebody who you are comfortable confiding in, especially about this, because it's like very deeply personal. So I would find somebody who you feel comfortable enough to share these feelings with, and make sure that that person understands where you're coming from and like maybe has a different outlook on rejection than you have. And yeah, so the last two things I wanted to say are just, I think sometimes when we get rejected from things that we really want, we get bogged down and we sort of like, instead of it being like, oh, okay, like a speed bump, we let it be a wall, and you shouldn't let it be a wall. If you can, ask for constructive criticism. Be like, what things can I do to improve my application next time? I did that for several programs I was rejected to, and I got a lot of really good feedback. And yeah, and I just think that sometimes we can like look back on our application materials and be like, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. And then I think use that rejection as like a stepping stone to building yourself up better and being more prepared for the next thing you apply for. And there was something else, there was the last thing. The last thing is, remember that this feeling is temporary. Like, it sucks, it hurts, and you're upset, and it's hard. Like, there's no other way to put it. The rejection's hard, and it's not fun by no means. It's like the most unfun thing I can think about, but it's temporary. You will get the experiences, the programs, the fellowships, the things that you want and need in life will come to you when the time is right. And it might just be that this application period or this season of fellowships or this thing, whatever it was that you were rejected from, it just might not be the right time. And that's okay. Take it in, take it as a moment, and then let it out, and don't like get stuck on it, you know what I'm saying? And it's temporary. Like, you're not always gonna be in this spot. And I think that's one of the things that really helped me, you know, like frame these rejection, these feelings is like, yeah, I feel really sucky right now, but it's not gonna last forever, and it's not gonna kill me. And so, yeah, so I hope that helps people who are dealing with rejection. Kind of right now, I know a lot of grad school rejection letters are coming out, fellowship rejection letters are coming out, and so I've been there, and it's hard. But if you need somebody to talk to, you can always hit me up on your Instagram or on my Instagram. And yeah, so that's pretty much it, all I have to say about rejection. And so now we're gonna move on to imposter syndrome. Okay, so we are back to talk about imposter syndrome. Yeah, so basically imposter syndrome is this like phenomenon where people doubt their accomplishments and have like this persistent fear of like being found out as a fraud. And so it's like, even though like this person has a lot of accomplishments, they're like, oh, somebody's gonna find out that I don't know as much as they think I know. Or like, you're always like feeling this like fear that somebody's gonna know that you're not as good as the rest of the people. And so I think the first thing I wanna start off by saying is that, honestly, I don't know anybody who deals with imposter syndrome who isn't already high achieving, if that makes sense. Like the people who normally suffer from imposter syndrome are high achieving, very successful people. And so sometimes imposter syndrome causes stress, anxiety, depression. And so it's like two almost like separate things. Like, these are like very high achieving, very successful people, but they're also dealing with like this not feeling good enough sort of thing. And I think that's kind of like the root of the imposter syndrome. So I deal with imposter syndrome. Most of my friends deal with imposter syndrome. It's kind of like a part of being highly successful, I guess. That sounds like really bad to say, but it's just like a part of it. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just I guess it just comes with the territory of being really successful. And so for me, my dog just got on the couch. For me, my imposter syndrome sometimes shows up like, I can't fail this test. Or not like I can't fail, but like I can't get a bad grade on this test. Like, every assignment has to be perfect, or else everybody's gonna know that I don't know as much as they think I know. Or sometimes it's like, I'm not as smart as my peers. I'm undeserving of being here, being in this program, being, you know, who I am here. Like, I just don't deserve this spot. I got lucky to have this spot. Like, somebody took a chance on me. And I'm trying to think, there was one more example. Oh no, I just got lucky. So basically, some of the people who deal with imposter syndrome like often go through these like cycles of where it's like really high and like really hard to deal with, and they're like, everybody's gonna find out that I don't know jack diddly here, and yeah, they're gonna find out and it's all gonna be over. And my like, it's like this like mega idea that like people are gonna find out I'm a fraud. I am a fraud. Like, I feel like I'm a fraud. People are gonna find out I am a fraud. The world is going to end. And that's kind of like how imposter syndrome works. Like, it's not very logical, but yeah. Sorry, I keep wiping my nose. My nose is so itchy. Okay, and so some of the ways that I deal with my imposter syndrome is, one, the first thing is I try to figure out what the root of like why I'm feeling this way is. So sometimes it's like if I get really overwhelmed with schoolwork and like I have mountains of stuff to do, my to-do list is more than like 10 things, like I just am like, this, I cannot handle this, like it's over, like everybody's gonna find out I don't know what I'm doing. And sometimes it's like, I think that underlying feeling of being overwhelmed, it really like heightens it. Like, everybody else is dealing with this, why can't I deal with it? Oh, I'm not as good, it's over. Like I'm faking it. Like I'm faking being this great student, right? And so sometimes the other underlying feelings is, do you feel like you're not measuring up as well, like in comparison to your fears? I also wrote down, I feel like I'm undeserving of great opportunities. And then sometimes, well, for me, figuring out the root of the imposter syndrome helps me like challenge that thought. So like if I feel like I'm not measuring up to my peers, I'm always like, no, first of all, stop. Everybody is running their own race. Everybody is very different, and we're all running very different races on very different tracks and very different trajectories. And also another way I challenge that thought is I'm like, comparison is the thief of joy. Like, if I'm spending all this time comparing myself to my friends, I'm not getting the stuff that I need to get done. So I try to like just challenge those thoughts very like on a very basic level. If I can catch myself going through this like imposter syndrome loop. And then sometimes I let myself just like sit and like feel it. Like really like let myself wallow in self-pity for a while. And like I usually set like a timer. I mean, this works for me. I don't know if it'll work for you all, but I normally like set a timer for me to just feel like a fraud and like everybody's gonna find out, freak out about it for about like 10 minutes tops. Because after that, I'm just like emotionally exhausted. And so then I spend the next 10 minutes directly following that, like giving myself like positive affirmations almost. Like, I'm a competent person. I know way more than I give myself credit for. I am equally as deserving for these opportunities as anybody else in this world. I work damned hard to be where I'm at. I did not get lucky. I have earned this spot, etc. If that makes sense. Oh, my camera's dying. Wonderful. The bad part about your camera dying is like you can never get the camera in exactly the same angle as before. So this is what we're gonna go with. Okay, so yeah, so we talked about challenging thoughts, Okay, so number 3 is take time to confide in somebody who understands what it is that you're going through. And so sometimes I confide in my advisor, who does a really good job of like being like, this is a growing season for you. You are not expected to know any and everything, and you deserve to be here. Like, you earned this spot, and like you wouldn't have been accepted had you not earned this spot, right? And so sometimes I take time and confide in my peers. Like I got a really bad grade on a midterm, and I was like, it's over. Like, I'm gonna have to drop out of grad school. Like, everybody's gonna know that I like basically failed this final. Like, it's done. And so then like the next class, like we basically take classes all day together. So then in the next class, they were like, yo, how did everybody do on this final? I did like not good. how did you guys do? Like, can somebody explain to me like where I went wrong on this test? And it was just like such a powerful moment to realize that like, oh, like I did bad, but like other people did bad too. And like, these are like people who I consider to be like super smart and super competent people. And so it sometimes just like boosts my morale knowing that my peers are struggling with the same things that I'm struggling with. That sounds bad, but like, you need people who can relate to you, and that's, yeah, that's that. And the last thing is, I just try to remember that most of the people who suffer from imposter syndrome are high achieving, successful women, honestly, like, and I'm among them. And I mean, sometimes I really do a bad job of like downplaying my accomplishments, but I just have to remember that the reason I'm feeling this way is because I'm like high achieving, successful, a little neurotic, and because like I want to be successful and I don't want to fail. And so I try to think of my imposter syndrome not as like a bad feeling, but sort of like something to like be like, push me to the next level so that I can achieve more, basically. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any tips or anything dealing with imposter syndrome or dealing with rejection, be sure to leave those comments below. I will read them. I read like everybody's comments every day. And if you have watched to this far, leave a, I should really think of these like beforehand, but I don't. I think leave like a smiley face emoji so I know that you watched the whole thing. And last thing, if you have any video suggestions, be sure to share those below or message me on my Instagram. I'll put the name right here. And also be sure to follow me on my Instagram and my social media. I'm pretty funny. Not really, I'm not that funny, but sometimes I think I am. I'm really funny on Twitter, not so much on Instagram. But follow me on there, and I do follow back, so follow the kid, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, and I love you all so much. Bye.